My name's Taylor Moore, and heroin has affected every area of my life. Well, drugs in general. My father was murdered when I was 2 years old. He sold coke, and he was shot in the back of the head twice coming out of a bar in St. Louis. My mom, shortly after that, fell into heroin addiction. She is still in active addiction, has been my entire life pretty much, and so that's affected, just my childhood in general. I was passed around the family, whoever was willing or able to take us in. I have a little sister, a year younger, did take us in. It's just, it's affected pretty much everything. It's taken my leg. It's ruined my family.
How old are you?
I'm 27 years old.
And how long were you addicted to heroin?
Since 18. Before then, I've been a drug addict since early 12. I started smoking pot, if not earlier than that. And it was what I used to, as you say, fill the void, but just to fight my depression. I've been depressed pretty much as long as I can remember. And marijuana was, compared to everything else, was an effective treatment for it. I've never gone to a psychiatrist or anything prior to recent years, but it helped.
Can you describe the first time you tried heroin?
I was trying to find some Percocets, and my friend knew how dead set I was against it, so he tried lying to me at first, and then I came over to his house, and there was a few of my other friends there, and it was on a plate. I remember thinking it was such a tiny amount that he wanted me to pay $20 for it. And I thought he was crazy, and I actually left, but once again, I guess the addiction took over, and I came back, and I was like, whatever, I'll try it. And I remember thinking that it was about the same as eating 4 Percocets.
You said there was a line of it.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us that have never seen heroin or tried it, was it chopped up pill form or?
No, well, raw forms of heroin are different. It can be like powder, or it could be, like a rock. And that's what this was. It was like the first time I ever done it, and tiny little speck.
And you woke up in the hospital?
Yeah.
And they said what?
3 days later.
3 days later?
Yeah.
How long did they tell you they thought that you had been in that vacant building before you were found?
16 hours. It was noon on a Saturday, and the ambulance didn't get there until 8 o'clock Sunday night. The first thing I said was, did I die, or am I dead? And my grandma said, it was my grandma, she said, no, but you were. And I asked her if she was lying, like I didn't believe her that I wasn't dead. And that was pretty much it. After that, it was really blurry. Like I said, I had a feeding tube, I had multiple organ failure. My leg, it was still attached at that point, obviously, was like black from like here down. Toes were black. It hurt. Like, I can't describe the pain. It's like the worst pain. It was worse. It was worse then than it was after it was amputated. It was just, couldn't touch it, couldn't move. It was crazy.
How was this an awakening for you? Clearly losing your leg is an awakening, but that's a pretty tough and sad story that you got out and you were sober, and 2 days later you were alone in a vacant building doing heroin, and then woke up to this. That's a lot to take in. How did you even compute this in your head and realize how far this addiction had taken you?
It is a lot to take in. I don't really know how to start. There's only 2 ways this could go. I could dwell on self-pity and stay the same, don't make any changes, or I could use this as a learning experience and move on, make it change. And this is what it took. This is what it took for me to change. Like I said, I've been to prison several times. I got family that love me and want me in their life. I have reasons to live and not be a drug addict, but it was just before, I guess it was easier. Like I said, there's a lot of guilt and shame that is associated with drug addiction. You know, like my self-worth was nowhere. I didn't even like myself, let alone love myself. You know what I mean? And some people say that has to come first before you can love others. So, and after this happened, it was just, I lost my life. And I want to live now. I can't describe it. And a lot of people say that, you know, I have thought about getting high, but I don't want to anymore. And that's never happened my entire life. I've always wanted to get sober, but just never not wanted to get high. You know what I mean? At the same time, it's like this time it seems so idiotic to me. It's like a light switch in my head was switched on for some reason. I want to be happy, and that cannot happen in a drug addiction, period. You can't be happy living that lifestyle. It's miserable. How could you? How could you spend your entire life thinking about a substance that you're trying to use to make yourself happy or fill a void that never does and leaves you emptier inside than you were from the beginning? I mean, it's completely insane to even consider that making you happy.
Do you feel like you're worth it now?
Everyone else does. Yeah. I mean, we all are. No one's not worth it. I mean, life's beautiful. It's just, you have to make it that way. You can't just expect everything to change for you. You gotta do it yourself. You know, you gotta be the change you wanna see in the world.